Yes.
Okay. All right, the executive session is now closed. We are moving on to the consent agenda. Have item number 4. We have the approval of September 23rd, 2019 regular council meeting minutes. Do we have a motion?
Hang on,
A motion for what now?
the minutes.
Motion to approve September 23rd, 2019 regular city council meeting minutes.
I move to approve,
September 20th.
September 23rd,
Yep.
regular council members meeting.
Okay, do we have a second?
I have a second, but I also have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
On section 12, communication service tax agreement, it said here that the motion was made to have the finance director, Ricky Helms, be the city rep on the agreement. Did that get signed before he left?
It did.
Okay.
We're going to bring it back on the 28th to have it redone.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any further questions on the minutes? Seeing none, we will call the roll.
Councilmember Gray?
Yes?
Councilmember Spurlock?
Yes.
Councilmember Sutherland?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Thank you. We're going to bump a couple items up now that we have Attorney Brian Koji with us. We're going to discuss item number 13, the COLA. Danielle, do you want to brief us on that?
Okay, this, I provided council with a spreadsheet very similar to what Mr. Helms had provided previously at other council meetings, showing what the raises were giving. I kind of tweaked it a little bit to show you a projection on the COLA rate. I know there was discussion before and put in the budget for the COLA
Yep.
across the board. This is going to give you some options just to get clarification on what council's direction is for this. It's not common for a COLA to be given and then taken away at the end of the year. So this gives you options to show you what we have if you were to give a COLA across the board, what everybody would be making that would affect the union members with the notification to the unions that we're doing this prior to initiating it.
Okay.
The other option would be not to do it at all and just let the step raises take effect as the union contract states, and then you also have an option to do just for exempt, excluding unions.
All right. Does the council have any questions?
Does the COLA change the range on the management things that we settled a few weeks back, where we set a minimum and a maximum? That's going to take it over the maximum?
It would increase 3%
Yeah.
for everyone across the board, even if it was just management.
Okay.
I'd like to add in here that everyone's getting a COLA. I'm sorry, a step raise in terms of the employees, the general employees, and most of the new employees already start out at a pretty high rate. And I am not for giving a COLA because the step raises are already kicking in. Everyone's getting a raise already. And they just got a 3% this past year. So between last year's 3%, if we gave you another 3%, that's a 6% raise plus a COLA. You're going to end up having people with a 7% raise over the course of 12 months. And that's just not affordable. It sets a bad tone. I mean, we can't afford that.
I agree with that.
So let me ask you, so the step raises are given to whom?
Union members.
Oh.
So that would be your ask me and
Part of
your
the
buyer.
contract, yeah.
Right. So this would, under what she just said, that would leave out anyone that is non-union.
Correct, that's your exempt employees. Those are the ones highlighted on your sheet.
Got it.
I do have a question for Brian, if you could, please. We had talked about, last year there was given a 3% pay raise across the board. It was trying to determine whether it was a one-time raise, a cost of living raise, a bonus raise, or so on and so forth. My
If you're going to
question
speak, do it in the
to
microphone,
you
guys.
is, if we do give a cost of living raise at any time, that is not the increase that you have to do year after year after year. It's just a one-time cost of living from budget to budget. Is that correct?
Yeah, under Florida law, you're not, you can do anything you want. If you want to give a bonus, you want to give a COLA that changes the base rate going forward every year, or limit it to 1 year, you can do it. You can't, what you have to avoid is implementing anything retroactive after an employee's worked. You can't say, what we paid you last month, we're gonna take that, change your rate and lower it.
Okay.
You can do a retroactive wage increase, never had anybody complain about that, but, and the other thing you have to do is if you're dealing with the unions, and it's not already covered by the union contract, then wage increases, just like wage decreases, are supposed to be negotiated. So
Mhm.
if you did it unilaterally without talking to the union, now they can waive that, right? If you can reach out and say, we might give you a 3% COLA, do you wanna negotiate? They may just say, go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
let me ask the council, we have a line item that we did not fund, and that's the one where they can buy back their vacation or their sick time. I would
Okay.
rather see the money going there and then let individuals go ahead and buy back their hours. That in other, that's a huge benefit we offer to our employees. Does that have to be negotiated for Ask Me employees as well?
If it's not part of the
It's
current
in our
union
policy.
contract or part of the past practice with the union, then you'd have to negotiate it.
So
If
in the
it's been part of
past,
the past practice, and AFSCME has gotten that through the policy, then you're not changing the past practice, you don't have to negotiate it, you can continue that past practice.
they have been getting it in past practice.
Yeah, this will be the second year that we're not doing a buyback.
So if we put the money back in there for people to use that, then I think that would be a compromise, at least for the employees, because with everyone getting a step, it just doesn't seem,
That's up to
So
the
Danielle, what is the total amount if we gave everybody that COLA raise?
It was what was budgeted. That was-
$100,000.
Okay,
Yeah,
so you want to put that amount back in for a buyback?
And whatever's left over goes into contingency.
So where does the step funds come in at? If that's been budgeted as well?
yes, yeah. When you approve the budget, you improve the
The
current
steps.
rate that we're at, plus the steps, plus the across-the-board 3%.
Okay. So now I see what you're saying.
Do we have any motions?
Well,
I make a motion that we use the contingency dollars that we set aside for COLAs, and in lieu of that, place it in the buyback program.
Do we have a second?
A second for discussion?
We have a motion and a second. Go ahead with discussion.
So then basically that means that says we're not going to give a cost of living raise this year to anybody.
Correct.
that's
Okay.
right.
All right?
Okay, any further discussion? Questions? Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Councilmember Gray,
Yes.
Councilmember Spurlock,
Yes.
Councilmember Sutherland,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard,
Yes?
Mayor Anderson.
Yes,
Motion passed unanimous.
thank you. The other item that we want to bump up is item number 20, the health insurance for council. Jerry, do you want to brief us on that, or?
Yeah, I don't know, I think this is not really important for this meeting.
Okay.
It was, I wanted to put it on the special meeting agenda, but we couldn't do it in time to have it advertised, and I think at this point it's, I've already watched the video and everything and made a decision on that, so I
Okay.
think we're good.
Okay.
I would like to recommend that Koji looks into it as well, as far as a labor type standpoint. Because council is considered different than regular employees. I just don't want there to be an issue as far as taking the money versus employees that can't.
Brian, do you see any potential conflicts there? Anything we should be aware of?
Yeah, it's the first time I've heard of the issue tonight, but I want to understand it a little bit better. If the issue is, can council get health insurance or have the option of taking the value of it in cash instead of health insurance? Now, my only concern there that I expressed earlier was whether or not, I think that's okay and it's doable, but I would research it because there's some Medicare issues that may be triggered by essentially making Medicare primary insurance when you have an available health insurance. I think it's doable, but I had to look at that issue 10 years ago. Honestly, don't remember how that came out.
Is anyone opposed to him looking into that?
Not at all.
Not
Okay.
even.
You have your direction. Please go ahead and look into it.
Good luck.
Thank you. Anything else on item number 20?
Do you need me for anything else tonight? Otherwise, I'll.
No.
I think
But
we're
thanks
done.
for
We
coming,
appreciate it, Brian.
It's good to see the
Thank
new
you.
you.
All right, that concludes item number 20. So go back to item number 5. We have the Citizen Selection Committee. We have some that turned in their names and applications beforehand. We have some that were more recent,
And some that did not,
some that did not. Okay.
just their
What was
names.
it? Item number,
Item number 5.
And Brad Hayslip has withdrawn.
He has withdrawn. All right, so let's make a list of what we have confirmed here. So we have Roger Garganis. Is that still good?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
We have Tanya Marshall. Is that still good?
yes,
Galen Thomas,
yes,
Warren West,
yes,
And Tim Devlin?
yes.
and Brad has withdrawn. So
Did Gerald Snell submit as well, or call?
He called.
He called?
Who did?
Gerald Snell.
Gerald Snell?
Oh, yes, he did today. Yes,
Okay.
I'm sorry. Gerald Snell, Foy Hall, and Stan Morantis. All.
what was the last one?
Stanley Morantis?
Is that Craig?
Marentis, no, he's the project manager for the county engineer office.
Oh, okay.
And Houston Foy Hall also wanted to be on. Neither of them produced a bio. I asked them both for one, but they didn't produce one.
How many do we have altogether?
That's what I'm trying to get right here.
I think there's 8. Counting Gerald Snell, I believe that there's 8.
5, 6, 7. I think you're right.
May I approach? Could I be heard?
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Name and address,
I
please.
apologize for my voice. I've been 4 days with laryngitis.
Your name
My
is?
voice back today.
Your name is?
Now, I would love to serve this committee.
This is Foy Hall, and he resides at?
820 West Pleasant.
Thank you.
I am a citizen. And yes, I had called and said I would be interested in serving on this committee. With further consideration, I received a call from Kim saying that I should turn in at least a short bio. Now, over the weekend, I've considered that very carefully. There are certain constraints I am under currently that I don't feel it would be appropriate if I sat on any advisory committee on the selection of a city manager, a permanent city manager, because there are some conflictory elements we still have to deal with concerning the city and myself. So I will not sit, I will not give a bio, I will not perform. I just really believe it'd be very questionable if I did.
Okay.
So
But
you-
you're still allowed to come to any public meeting that they may have and sit as a witness as part of the public. Just if, you know.
Oh, well, thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, you know,
I'm
if,
glad you so welcomely keep me straight, okay?
okay,
Okay.
you're welcome.
So you
Oh, I'm
withdraw?
straight enough, believe me.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Hall, you're withdrawing from the
Yes,
selection
there would be
committee?
Too much conflict.
Who is this?
Conflictory element.
Okay.
He quit.
Just affects us all.
All right. Thank you.
He bowed out.
Thank you.
He lives across the street over here.
Now, at this point, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm not seeing a 7th.
who was the 6th one?
We have Tim Devlin, Gerald Snell. You guys don't have his because it just came in today and I forgot to put it.
Okay,
in.
I've got it on the list.
Okay, so you got Tim Devlin, Gerald Snell, Tanya Marshall,
Uh-huh.
Warren West,
Warren West. that's it.
Roger Gerganis, Galen Thomas,
And Stanley.
and Stanley Morantis.
Okay.
Who's
Well-
Stanley Morantis?
I
He's
don't
the
know.
gentleman that sat here with his wife last time, tall dude.
I don't remember.
They're new to the
Oh,
neighborhood.
okay.
But he
So-
didn't turn in a bio either after I asked him to, so I don't know if he's still interested, but I'll give him a call.
We've got 7 spots to fill, and we've got 7 applicants, so that makes it pretty simple.
Well, we're gonna try to pick them tonight. I think we ought to give more time for people to be aware of it, that some people just recently heard that it was available.
How much longer do we have in the advertisement?
We have till November 15th, so we have a month from tomorrow.
Okay, so we've got plenty of time to go ahead
Do it on the 28th,
and do it on the 28th, and that would allow another 2 weeks.
because there's a lot of applications to go through.
Okay.
Well, we're just talking about for the Citizens Committee.
We're
We're
just
not
talking
Yeah.
about Citizens Committee, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is
Okay.
anyone opposed to that?
No.
How about-
I'm not, but I just want to clarify the process that's going to be expected of the individuals. You know, what is exactly their, what are they going to narrow it down and we're going to select from what they have selected?
Well, it's up to us.
I mean,
No, I want to see, I would love to see them all.
You bet you,
I
me
mean, I
too.
don't mind looking at their selection, you know, but
Yeah. Well, normally there would be some type of a grading process. It's been suggested by several people in the community that we select a type of grading process that everybody's aware of and understands. So,
Shouldn't we tell these people right up front that they can do their work if that's what they want to do, but their choices mean absolutely nothing? I mean, they're going to waste their time. They're going to go through this thing. They're going to turn in whoever they want, and we can go exactly the way we want to go.
well, that's the nature of every advisory committee.
Well, and I think they're not really going to select a person so much as generally these committees shortlist a list.
Yeah,
But you've always got
But
access.
that short list means nothing.
But, I mean, it just means what the citizens would want. You can still review every application available. That should be made available for your
Yeah,
review. And if you
that's
want to
what
make copies of that, then that copy should be provided to you as well. Because, I mean, you will have a lot of them that are just, not even close to being competent for the job. And so there may be some select few that they didn't select that you might have some interest in, but I wouldn't advise, copies of every single application go to the commission. You can, you can view them if you wish and request them if you wish. I'm just simply saying that's how I've seen it in the past. And they shortlist it, but I always recommend that, you should, consider for yourself what applications are available.
Yeah, the entire point of this is to involve more citizens than just us. It's the whole point. So to have more of an impact, more of a voice of the people, and not just us five sitting here.
But compounding on what Stanley says, if the prerogative of the council is that we're going to take a list that the citizens have provided on their time in good faith, we turn around and say, you know what, how many are they going to give us, 15, 20? I'm just guessing, right? So if, like Brenda wants to go through the entire stack, I would like to go through the entire stack, because what's on paper isn't always necessarily what you get. One of us or some of us may want to call their employer, or not their employer, but call where they're
references.
coming from, yeah, and all of that. So I don't know that the committee will do that on their own time, or if they'll do it when they're here, but at the end of the day, if they pick 15 people and I happen to call somebody or some place where someone else was on, where they served, and they're not included in the list that the committee has provided us, then I feel like the committee will have wasted its time. So I don't want them to feel that way.
What's the difference between this and every advisory committee that we have?
Well, that's the whole point. If it's advisory, then they need to know very clear going into it that whatever selection they come up with may not be the one that we end up with.
I don't think it's ever not been clear.
But that's why I'm saying it should be clear to them.
Yeah.
I mean, if the anticipation is that they're going to select the next city council out of a stack of 15, and in that 15, we're going to pick someone from that 15 stack, then yeah, that's what their expectation is. But if we don't.
It's an advisory committee.
Right. So they need to know that we may not end up with anyone that they select in the pile that they provide us.
I think it's been made abundantly clear of that fact tonight.
Okay, well, I just want to make sure that that's the case, because
Yeah, I mean, I would hope that the council does value what the people's opinion is.
and I would think that we would as
they're not
well.
going to completely disregard it, as some people say.
No, I'm just speaking for myself.
Got it.
Kim, I have have you looked at any of those applicants' paperwork yet?
No, sir, I have not.
Okay, because I'm sure that you would look over them, first of all, to see if they meet qualifications, and then throw those without qualifications out? Am I
Well,
correct?
I don't know that we should throw any out.
No?
No. Well, and no, I mean, I think you just meant, to remove them from that stack, because you can't throw them away, they're public records, but.
No, I meant
But,
that, yes.
yeah, but I think what he meant was just simply remove the
Just to-
stack. But
Yeah.
that is a fact-finding, thing that the staff can do or the committee can do.
Yeah.
But your list of qualifications you have in the
Job
Yeah,
description.
job
because we have a lot
description
of,
should be gone over first of all, and make sure that each person that's considered has met that, because we don't want to consider somebody that doesn't meet those qualifications.
right, and I did see through one of the ads that we had out, I did see about 6 of the applicants. I didn't look them over real well, but I did see some of the qualifications of about 6 of them. Right now, we have a lot of resumes, and we're trying to get the applications in from them. We're trying to get them all to turn in an application, so that's what we're working on right now. But yeah, we will definitely get them together. We'll alphabetize them and all that, or
Well, I
or
just-
region, or whatever.
Yeah, my suggestion is, if it's a detailed enough resume, I don't know why we need the application, but other than if the resume doesn't include the aspects that are, in job qualifications, I leave that up to you, but I know, filling out an application takes a lot more time than a resume, and some of these people are not even going to be considered, they're just going to be, manager of 7-Eleven, and so I can be a manager of a city. That's just the way it goes. I've seen many in 29 years.
But there's also that if it takes 2 to 4 weeks, well, say it takes a month from here, there's going to be a lot of people that have moved on and went somewhere else, so they're going to withdraw their names.
And no matter who also would probably have a 30-day notice to their current employer, so that would be even more time on top.
Yeah.
What did you intend to accomplish with this committee? What was your intent?
To get more voices of the people in the community.
You don't think the election did that, of the 5 people that are up here?
Well, after we selected the past city manager and the one before that and the one before that, people always seem to feel they have not had an adequate voice in the selection process. The entire point of this is to satisfy those needs and allow anyone that wants to have a voice to come forward and be a part of that committee, or at least have a chance of being on that committee.
Wouldn't you think that there's a lot to that? If this room would be full tonight of people wanting to be on that committee?
Apparently, there's 7 people at this point.
And we're having to fight to get 7?
Are we fighting? We had
Well,
7
I don't
people
know.
apply.
We had 6 the last time I counted.
Look, if you don't want to hear what people got to say, that's fine. That's your business. I'm just simply telling
asking
you.
what you were trying to accomplish
And I told you.
by that.
I want to hear what people have to say on it.
What the people on the committee have to say.
What the people in the community have to say. The more voices, the merrier.
I can tell you this, that when I was on the committee for 2 city managers before this, we lowered the number, I think I've said this many times before, I think about 3 people that we, out of maybe 15 real candidates that we suggested, and we actually thought as a committee that the council was going to pick one of those 3, because we just felt that they outshined the other dozen or whatever. And of course, like I told you, one was a late admittance in the last day, and that person got, brought in and was made city manager. So everybody needs to understand that, that they're going to do their best to try to filter this and give us their opinions by filtering, which would take some of the time off of us trying to look at them, as well as bringing the people in and asking them questions and so on and so forth, because that's usually what you do. You bring in people in. Would you come in, have a talk, ask you some questions? And so if they can limit the amount of people we look at, then I think that's a good choice. If you think there's somebody they left out and you definitely want that person, then that's what you're up for.
Well, but we don't want to do that at the last minute, like you said, so
Yeah.
if the council finds somebody in the stack of 50 that was excluded from the 20, I'm just throwing out numbers, then I would want the
Bring it up
committee to
early.
have that when they go through their 20.
That's a
So
good
how
idea.
many will we have them go through and provide us? That's,
The council could select the ones that they go through. The council could say, look, we got 50 applicants, these 20 we know that we don't want, here's 30 good ones.
so
You
what
give
you're
us your
saying is
opinion
that
on
we
those
vet
30.
it first and then give it to the
That
committee?
we could. I mean, it makes more sense for the HR department to simply vet them for what their requirements are, what we posted, and then go to the committee and then come to us. But if it means that much to the council that they have that initial say-so, then they can do that. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, I'm with Brenda. I would like to see them all as
I'm
well,
gonna look
because
out. Y'all can say whatever y'all want to
Everybody's
say
gonna
and
see
do.
all of
Yeah.
them. Nobody's trying to not let anybody
No,
see
no,
anything.
no. I want to see them all. So, if I could have, let's just say there's someone in there that I really like and no one gives them a consideration, I would hope that at least mine would be thrown into the mix with everyone else's. That's all I'm saying. I don't want it to be at the last minute, oh, by the way, this is who I like, and no one's even seen it, right? So if we're trying to have the public participate all across the board, then they need to know what we have as well. And I'm okay with that. One of the other things I just want to clear also is, and I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit here, when it comes time for the interviews, you know, at the last interviews that we had, we asked the same things of each individual candidate while the other candidates sat in the room listening to the answers of the first, and therefore
Right.
it gave them time to kind of think about it.
Right.
Are we going to ask the advisory committee to also put together a list of questions that we can add on to what we're going to do? If you want to involve them, they should be asking questions as well. I just don't want to repeat the same question to all three candidates because they're sitting in the same room, and it just seems kind of unfair for candidate number one that 2 and 3 will already know the answer by the time it's their turn to move in. So, you know, could we make sure that everyone gets a different list of questions?
I thought you said,
With regard to, I'm sorry. you
I
go.
thought you, I was gonna say that I thought the city manager said we couldn't do it that way. We had to, the city attorney said we had to ask the same question to the,
No, I think
each
that
applicant or
based
something
on
of
what
that
you read in
sort.
the resume, you can ask the different questions that you wish. What I said is you can't exclude people from the meeting. You know, you can't
There-
ask
oh,
them.
that's what
Right.
it was
You can't
saying.
even ask them to step outside because
Right.
now you're putting pressure on them to, you know, "Oh, I won't be selected unless I step outside. So you can't do that.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's what it was.
But knowing that they don't have to leave, which is fine, as long as the original question isn't asked time and time again of the other candidates. You may have, 5, 6, 7 people in there, and it just,
Well, if you direct them towards their particular resume, then they should be,
Well-
individualized
No, it would-
at
it
that
would-
point. But let me simply say that with regard to going through the stack, that's up to you. And so on. But I would just simply recommend that we not consider people that don't meet the minimum qualifications that you've already decided. Because if
yeah.
if those should be taken out and excluded. Otherwise, you should change the qualifications so that, those people can be considered. If you want a college degree, but then you might select somebody who doesn't have a college degree to be considered, then say college degree or equivalent, or college to be an equivalent experience, those types of things. But, once you do that job qualifications, I recommend that you stick pretty much by them.
That's already been publicized, so the applications that we should be getting in should meet the qualifications.
And who does that selection, Jerry?
They won't all meet the qualifications,
No.
it's just the nature of it.
Absolutely not.
But for clarification, do you want all of them, whether they meet the qualifications or not, or do you want them to be separated? Let me know so that we know what we need to do.
It would seem to me that it's something that HR head should be able to, go through the job qualifications and say, this one meets it, this one doesn't. If they have any questions, then they can include it with a limitation.
Okay.
Not sure this one meets the qualifications, but,
Right.
but here it is.
All applications are going to be public record, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
So anything that's thrown out that anybody wants to see, they can, right?
Right.
So I don't see the problem in having the HR department go through and throw out all the ones that obviously don't meet the requirements.
And of course, when you say throw out, you mean just separate.
Just
them.
Separate.
So what we'll do,
Correct.
then what we can do
Like
is
that
we can
throw-out
have,
word.
we can have a folder that has the non-qualified applicants in it. And if you want to look at them, then they won't be mixed in with the rest, and then have one that
That'll
has
be
the
fine. Just
qualified.
separate them.
that
way
makes
was I'm
sense.
concerned.
Okay.
Good.
So
All
they'll
right.
be available to be looked at.
Okay. Anything else on this item, item number 5?
so do we still want to leave it at 7? If anyone drops out, do we still want to leave it open and make it 9? Or do you want to stick with 7?
I would
If 2 more
assume-
people are adamant about getting on the board, I'm okay with that.
If
the
we
more the
wind up
merrier.
getting a whole bunch more in the next 2 weeks, I would be thrilled if it was larger.
I'm okay with that, too.
I didn't hear
Okay.
what the last thing, you'd be thrilled with what?
If it's a larger group,
Okay.
so.
But you're going to make a selection tonight to get the committee started, right?
Yes. I'll make a motion that we approve the 7 that have submitted thus far. And accept more to be
Okay.
approved later
At the next meeting.
at the next meeting.
Okay. Is there a second? I'll second that motion. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Okay, so before you move on, let me just ask one question. So the 7 that we select tonight
Yep,
have agreed to serve on this committee,
correct.
and,
1 wasn't for sure, though.
huh?
I'm not real sure about Mr. Mersantis because he didn't send his bio like I asked, but I will call
Yeah.
him tomorrow.
But they can always withdraw if they want.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
We're not going to twist their arm.
all right.
Okay, any further questions? Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Councilmember Gray?
Yes.
Councilmember Spurlock?
Yes.
Councilmember Sutherland?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes,
Motion passed unanimous.
thank you.
I
Moving
will
on-
contact all of those folks tomorrow and let them know.
Thank you.
Very well, thank you.
How soon do you think you're going to start meeting? You know, I see Mr. Gergain is sitting in the audience over there.
Well,
I mean, are the
they're not-
schedules
I
wide
think-
open?
You in charge.
I think that since they've been selected, they need to be advised as to the Sunshine Act and the Public Records Act. Are you going to do that, or would you like me to give you some kind of summary or something, and you have the,
If you wouldn't mind doing it, that would be great.
And do they need to appoint a chair?
yeah, that when they do their first meeting, they'll need to
Okay.
be the chair, but we need to let them know that they can't talk between themselves as of now.
Right.
Ideally,
And I,
they
and I
would-
can let them know that when I call too.
Ideally, they would not meet until after our next meeting so that we
Yes.
can
Yeah, and
finish
Jerry,
the board numbers.
is there any conflict that some of those individuals already sit on city boards of some kind?
No, because this board is not in office.
Okay. Very good.
Okay, moving on to item number 6, we have the Jingle Bell Run road closure for December 13th, 2019.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve. Is there any further discussion?
Nope.
This is the same event that's been held many, many times in the past. Seeing no further discussion, we will call the roll.
Who seconded that?
I did.
Mr. Bernard.
Councilmember Gray?
Yes.
Councilmember Spurlock?
Yes.
Councilmember Sutherland?
She has to. Sutherland?
Councilmember Sutherland?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
All right, under staff updates, we have item number 7. We have the ITB number 19-5, the U.S. North Water Main and Force Main Utility Extension, engineer letter of recommendation, and bid from Metro Equipment Services, Inc. Mr. Ronnie Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. Council members, you have a engineer's letter of recommendation and the bid from Metro Equipment Services. This is for the US 27 North Water Main and Force Main Utility Extension Project. We're looking for a motion of approval of the bid.
Okay.
Ronnie, have you worked with this company before?
I have not, but we have contacted a couple of places that have done work with them, and they've all recommended them.
Okay. Do we have any further questions for Ronnie?
1,993,260.
Correct.
Right? Okay, I make a motion that we approve invitation to bid 19-05 for the US 27 North Water Main and Force Main Utility Extension in the amount of $1,993,260.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Further questions? Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Councilmember Gray?
Yes.
Councilmember Spurlock?
Yes.
Councilmember Sutherland?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Motion unanimous.
Next up, we have the actual contract for number 19-05.
So I just have one question on this, Ronnie. I couldn't find, because there's only 260 pages in here,
I
so
know.
I try to read them all. But what is the contingency on change orders? I mean,
Right now, the contingency is there is no contingency money in this bid that you just approved. So any change orders will have to come to the council for approval.
okay.
Okay.
And so this work will be done based off of 2 grants and city funds.
Correct.
So, and the second grant, we haven't approved yet because it hasn't come through. It came through, but it's not,
Correct. The letter that we
Finalized.
received from the state that said that we are allowed to begin to incur costs on this project, but we cannot seek reimbursement until the contract has been fully signed and executed, and we are not in receipt of that contract yet.
okay.
One other question. What would happen if the change order come and it exceeds everything that we have already budgeted for here, and it would come out of our funds?
We would deny it if we did not approve it.
It will be denied?
Well,
It could be. It depends on the change order. Now, some of them, I may deny them in the field, which is the case and one that we're going to talk about here soon. But there may be some that are important enough that need to be brought to council for your approval.
Okay.
And we'll bring that forward along with its merits and its costs, and council can either side with us or say, No.
There's case law on that as to whether, we have some obligation to approve them and not approve them, depending on the facts as to whether if they had done a proper review of the site and so on, they would have discovered the circumstances. If not, then, it's more likely we'll have to approve it if it's something that they could not have foreseen
Gotcha.
reasonably.
Okay.
Okay. Any further questions on,
And if approved tonight, when does it expect to commence?
Wednesday.
Okay, and that falls within the timeline of the whole new core project, right? We are on time.
Correct. Your deadline is the 20th.
Okay.
okay?
Oh, and one last thing. In terms of subcontractors, do we have any, I know we don't have authority to tell them, you need to hire these people, but could we encourage them to hire local subs?
Sure. I'll do everything I can to encourage that.
Okay.
Okay. All right, we're looking for a motion?
Motion to approve invitation to, I'm sorry, am I on the right one? Yeah. Motion to approve ITB-1905, contract document between City of Avon Park and Metro Equipment Services, Inc.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Further questions? Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Councilmember Gray?
Yes.
Councilmember Spurlock?
Yes.
Councilmember Sutherland?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Thank you,
Thank you.
council.
Next up, item number 9, we have the agreement for engineering services. We're on it too again.
Yes, council members, we have the CCNA agreement between Kimley Horn and the City of Avon Park. If you will recall, there was a selection committee that was put together based on an RFQ that the council previously approved back in July. This is simply the contract that we have negotiated with them, which is identical to the airport contract you just recently approved between Kimley Horn and the city. The only difference being the services that they're providing. One was for airline, this is going to be for industrial wastewater and civil services.
And that was a second RFQ.
Correct.
Okay, so if you end up picking one of these out of the library, do you submit to them the project scope and then they give you a sealed envelope anyway between the three, or do you just say you?
Well, the RFQ's already been submitted and we've already brought that to council for approval. So this is just the CCNA contract for Kimley Horn based on council's approval of that selection committee.
But they're doing the CEI for the wastewater project right now, are they not?
You have already selected Carl Cool of Cool and
Okay.
Cobb for that.
Okay, so there's no contract work pending for any other project as of right now, other than eventually the sewer plant?
Sewer plant, and we are going to utilize them for their talents with respect to the industrial wastewater review of the new course submittals and industrial rates.
And the
And so
airport
on.
as well, right?
Right.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
Make a motion to approve the CCNA agreement for civil and sanitary engineering services between the City of Avon Park and Kimley Horn and Associates, Inc.
do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Further questions? Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Councilmember Gray?
Yes.
Councilmember Spurlock?
Yes.
Councilmember Sutherland?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
And just one little sidebar. Kim, thank you for letting me speak to Ronnie in advance, because it makes these meetings a lot shorter.
God bless you.
You're welcome.
I went directly to her, so.
And thank you.
Going to him.
Item number 10, we have change order number 1 and number 4 from Excavation Point. Ronnie, it's you again.
Yes, sir. Council members, this is the situation that we just talked about, where we've got change orders that may impact the original contract price. So we have a total of 4 change orders, and if you see there on the background, change order 2 and 3, I denied in my office. They were not relevant, and so we're not going to pursue those. Change order number 1, this is something that is needed to perform a directional drill of a water line underneath existing utilities. The problem is that we've got a turning lane on Valerie up against the property line for this Wawa facility, and we have so many utilities in there now, there's nowhere for us to actually dig to put our water main. We're actually going to have to drill underneath them so that we don't impact those utilities and cut anybody. So that change order is to the tune of $7,091 and no cents. So that would be an increase to your contract. Now, change order number 4 is a deduction that I requested on the project for a water line that we're not going to be installing. We have changed our plans in the rear of the property, and we're no longer going to need to install this looping line section. So that yielded a $4,765 reduction in the contract. So we've got a slight increase and then a slight reduction. Unfortunately, the reduction doesn't completely cover the cost of the increase. So we have a net total of an increase in the contract of $2,326.
So, Ronnie, you're recommending the approval of those two change orders
So
based on
yes,
change
I am
conditions?
seeking approval of both of those change orders, 1 and 4.
What's the net increase amount again?
$2,326 is the net increase of the original contract price.
Okay. Do we have a motion to that effect?
I make a motion, we go ahead and approve change orders 1 and 4 under item number E10 from evacuation point.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further questions?
Is there a CEI for this, or are you doing it?
I'm
You
your
are?
CEI.
Okay.
Okay, any further questions? Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Councilmember Gray?
Yes,
Councilmember Spurlock?
Yes.
Councilmember Sutherland?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes,
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Thank you. Item number 11, we have Amherst bid recommendation. Danielle?
This is Amherst's bid recommendation for Dickerson, Florida, Inc. They were the lowest of 3 bids for the Taxiway Foxtrot project. I recommend moving forward and awarding them the bid.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
And they're going to provide a contract, obviously, at some point?
The contract's actually
It's
a
following
draft.
there? Okay.
Yeah, a draft contract is after. Jerry will probably have some comments on it.
Okay.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
Okay, go ahead. You do it.
I move that we go ahead and award the bid 19-06. Is that the right one? The Dickerson, that's not it.
Yes.
Oh, the Dickerson, Florida, Inc. for construction of Taxway F under item number E11.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Further questions? Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Councilmember Gray?
yes,
Councilmember Spurlock?
Yes.
Councilmember Sutherland?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes,
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Item number E12, we have the Taxway F contractor contract, the draft.
This is, now that you've approved Dickerson, Florida, Inc. as your contractor for the taxiway project, this is a draft contract. I provided you at the beginning of the meeting a marked up version that Jerry did to be in compliance with grant assurance.
oh, that's.
Jerry, do you care to elaborate?
Well, yeah, I just took what they had put together and added the stuff from the grant that's required to be in the contract, and made a few changes that were also required by law. Our notice, public access of public records provision, things like that.
Well, as
So-
of 5 o'clock today, I heard from our consultant Amherst that they have not heard back from the contractor yet, but they agreed with the contract changes.
Yeah,
But we're still waiting on the contractor to approve as well.
Jerry, in your opinion, is this a good contract for us to enter into?
when it's concluded, they're going to have to put that on their form, because what I did is I took their PDF and I converted it to a Word document. So, because I don't have their Word document to make changes to, and so they're going to have to incorporate that. And there are a few things that conflict with the bid and things that they're just going to have to work in there, the best they can.
Okay.
Based on the marked up copy you get, I went ahead and implemented the changes, so I have a contract that
Good,
reflects your changes.
thank you.
Okay. So we can approve this draft, and then they're going to have to bring us back a finalized version, and then we'll have to
I would
also
think
approve
so.
that.
I would think so.
Okay.
That
So you
doesn't
have
need to
time
come
to
back
have
to
it.
council, though, does it? If they don't have any changes, then we're good to go.
Yeah, if there's no more changes and you can prove it tonight, then that's fine.
Okay. Got it. All right. Is there a motion?
Wait a minute. So the what she just gave us was this. We haven't read this. Are you saying this is okay, Jerry?
I made a lot of changes to it, right?
He threw in
You
the grant
received the
info.
original draft that I had from the contractor in your packet, The one that I handed you was Jerry's
Yeah, but that's what I'm
copy.
saying, but the one that we're going to approve or disapprove is the one that Jerry just gave us.
Correct.
Correct, correct.
We haven't read this.
There's not a lot to it. I don't know if you all want to take more time, but he just threw in all of the grant information from the grant itself that
Two grants.
that the grant requires. Otherwise, we're on the hook for it. Now we're making the contractor on the hook for it.
He made it legally pretty.
Yes.
Any further questions on?
What's the timeline on this project?
Yeah.
Once the contract is approved, I have to do a pre-construction conference to set up the timeframe. Hoping to start first of the year to have it completed by March.
So is it crucial that we do this tonight?
It'll help us planning our pre-construction
So that's a
meetings.
yes or a no?
Yes.
Okay. Then I don't like approving things that I have not read. I'm sorry, so
Speed read.
I can't
Okay.
do that.
Do we have any motions?
So it'd be finished by March.
Well, I want Brenda to feel comfortable with what she does, because someday will come where I want the same consideration, or any other council member, so,
Could it wait till the next meeting?
If that's what council chooses, yes. I can
But
make it,
will it
I can
hurt
make it work.
anything?
I can make it work.
Okay, I would appreciate that, because and not that I don't trust Jerry, it's just, I just like to read it.
that's fine.
Jerry, you're good with me.
Okay. Anyone have an issue with postponing it until the next
No.
meeting?
Nope.
So
Okay.
hopefully by then they would agree to the changes, we'll be able
Yeah.
to vote.
They
I
might-
can read the red ones, that's fine.
Okay. All
Really
right.
improved.
All right, then we will bring it up at our next meeting.
Okay.
We've already done item number 13. Item number 14, ads for finance analyst and director of finance.
Okay, the second one that we have in there for it should have been for the analyst, is actually the wrong job description, so we're pulling that. What we're looking for is council approval to start advertising for the two positions. Obviously, we can bring the job description back for the analyst to the next meeting, but if we could start advertising for the position of finance director, then we would have applications or resumes in place when the new city manager starts, so he could begin interviewing. But that's entirely up to you. If you think it's too soon, we don't have to, but whatever you think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm of the opinion the more time, the better. The only potential downsides that you see is that if someone applies for a job and they don't hear anything, they may
Yeah.
move on. But then again, who's to say that you wouldn't have already not got that applicant anyway, so.
Yeah,
I'm
and
not-
I like the idea. I mean, the city manager may say, you know what, I don't like this at all, and
Mhm.
want to go ahead and re-advertise. So I mean, that's entirely up to that person.
Yeah.
I just have an issue with the education and experience where it says equivalent training. You know, what is equivalent? And that right there is so subjective that there's no definition to that.
Okay, well, so we
You
can.
know, and that's just something that even if you advertise it, people expect to see that. But whoever ends up being the person that hires this individual is going to have to figure out what that equivalent is. And if it changes the job description, then he has to bring it back, or she has to bring it back to the city council for approval, because we're the only ones that can approve
But
job
if it's
descriptions.
or equivalent, that's more broad than.
Yeah, it's too
having a
broad. Yeah,
specific-
it's just
but
way too
why is
broad.
it too broad? How can you be too broad?
Well, what is it, 3 months of something, 6 months of something else, 12 years of that? Any city manager might have a different perspective of what an equivalent is.
I understand, but it's still up to that same city manager to hire that person.
But not for us when we make the approval of the job description. To me, it's too ambiguous. I mean, we've hired people with equivalents that
Right.
make
So
no sense, so
What I'm getting at is if you want to narrow it, then we can narrow it now.
then take the word out.
Well, that's fine. I'm just,
Well, we can make changes to that and get the other job description as well, and then bring it back to the next meeting. And then even if we start advertising in a couple of weeks, we can have everything ready to go, and it'll still probably give plenty of time.
Okay,
okay.
that sounds good.
Is anyone opposed to that?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay.
Oh, but you do need to approve a pay scale.
We
What
could-
was it we budgeted?
For the analyst, was it 54?
Is it 50?
Roughly off the top of my head. it's around
52 or 54, something like
I
that?
think it was
And then the-
80 something for director.
Right, because we were adding 65 to what Ricky was already making.
So 65,280?
So it went from, 65 adding to what Ricky was making part-time. It wound up
Where's the
being
pay
around,
scale at?
He was around 21,000 and they added another 65, so I want to say it was about 80 something.
Why
Yeah.
why would it be a bad idea to approve that at the same time as the job description?
we could.
Because when you
Yeah.
advertise it, you want to put a dollar value in there so people know.
But we're
what
not going to
they're-
advertise it yet, because we still have to approve the
Yeah, we
description.
can
Well,
do it
no,
on the
wait.
28th with all of it.
I didn't even see
Yeah.
the
It'll be
pay
all right.
We'll do it at the same time, and that way
Okay.
you can give us an exact number.
Okay, that'd be
It was
good.
approved in the budget. No, I'm talking about she's saying here.
All right, anything else on item number 14?
That's good.
Seeing none, item number 15, Central Florida Regional Planning, second reading, ordinance 11-19, medical marijuana.
Unfortunately, due to scheduling issues, Central Florida Regional Planning Council couldn't be here. They give their regrets. So I'll try and answer whatever I can if anything comes up. This is ordinance number 11-19. It's an ordinance of the City of Avon Park, Florida, relating to pharmacies and medical marijuana dispensing facilities. Amending the City of Avon Park Land Development Code, including Article 2 regulations for specific districts, Section 2.02.00, general regulations for all zoning districts by adding Section 2.02.17, medical marijuana dispensing facilities, and amending Section 2.04.01, zoning district tables, district summary tables, Table 2.04.01A, deleting medical cannabis dispensing facility and adding pharmacies, including medical marijuana dispensing facilities, amending Article 3, development design and improvement standards, Section 3.10.00, development standards for uses permitted by special exception, by deleting Section 3.10.03, medical cannabis dispensing facilities, and amending Article 9, definitions to amend the related definitions, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for severability, providing for an effective date. Second reading. This second reading has been noticed in the paper.
Yes,
So I have to open a public hearing?
yes.
Yes. Okay. So we're going to open a public hearing for ordinance 11-19. The public hearing is now open. Anyone wishing to speak on the issue of medical marijuana dispensaries can now do so. Don't all jump at once. Seeing no one, the public hearing is now closed. Bring it back to the council. Do we have any motions?
I move that we approve ordinance number 11-19, medical marijuana, as read in, by the city attorney.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second, and I just want to make sure that we have the option correct in regards to where the allowable use will be.
Yes,
I believe it was the C2,
C2,
Yep,
and that was it, just C2.
correct.
Yes.
the first thing I checked.
Any further questions on it? Comments? Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Councilmember Gray,
Yes,
Councilmember Spurlock,
Yes.
Councilmember Sutherland,
Yes,
Deputy Mayor Bernard,
Yes,
Mayor Anderson.
No.
Motion passes 4-1.
Thank you. Item number 16, Advent Health Occupational Services Health Agreement. Jerry, that's you again.
Yeah, all I did is review this agreement and make changes to it to bring it into compliance with Florida law and add some identification, things like that. They've accepted all my changes, so we're good to go.
Okay.
This was
Wait a minute.
done because we used to use Florida Hospital, is that right? And it's changed to Advent, is that correct?
yeah, they just
I
name,
don't
change,
know.
name, it's
All
a name change only.
This
There
is
you
for
go.
like our drug screens and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
All I got was a contract and.
Okay.
and
we
it's-
didn't get the contract.
I believe that's what it was, and it was for our drug screening and stuff like that.
Okay.
so.
Do we have any motions?
But Jared, did you see anything wrong with the contract?
No, I made several changes. I did see with the original contract, I saw some problems, and I made a lot of change. Well, I made some changes, and they accepted all my changes.
Okay, with saying that, I move that we approve, you asked for something?
Yeah,
I
looking for
move that we
motions.
approve, the, contract for, from
Advent Health,
Florida Hospital to Advent Health Occupational Services.
is that acceptable?
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Further questions? Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Councilmember Gray,
Yes,
Councilmember Spurlock,
Yes.
Councilmember Sutherland,
Yes,
Deputy Mayor Bernard.
Yes.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Thank you. Item number 17, we have the ballot discrepancies.
Yeah, as I point out in my analysis of the ballots and summary, there is a error in ballot 9. Don't know how that happened, other than the fact that we made some changes sometime towards the end, and it may be that pulled up an older version that was on, or it may be that I didn't save the changes. And my apologies, other than say that I keep my rates low. I don't have a legal secretary, and I make a terrible legal secretary.
I see.
Okay, now that that has been brought out, so what could we do to
Help.
help with this? Yeah.
It's my understanding the only option is to simply not count that item.
Okay, that we have
Penny on.
supervisor of election
I'm sure that's
here,
what she'll
so-
say as well. Penny, would you mind coming up?
Was she here? Oh, okay, I didn't know that was her.
We have this Highlands County Supervisor of Elections, Ms. Penny Ogg.
Thank you
very
for
much
staying
being
so
here.
late.
Yes,
Thank
thank you,
you.
Penny.
How are you all?
All right.
Very
Very well,
good.
thanks.
Good. I spoke to general counsel at the state level to try to get any kind of advice for you, and of course this would go with your city attorney as well. At this point, we do have our vote by mails are out. We have returned over 100 of those already. And of course, our election will be 3 weeks from tomorrow, so reprinting ballots is not, and we can't do that. You do have the option, I believe, of removing, and that removal would be simply a notice in the election booths at the election sites, and also included any vote by mail that would be going forward to advise the voter that any vote cast for that number 9 amendment would not be counted. Or you can simply leave it as it is. It would change the charter for pass. So that would be my.
When you say change the charter if it passed, did you say that?
If you leave it as it is, and the amendment passed, it would probably change your charter at this point because it would be on the ballot.
So, I mean, if people voted yes on 9 and yes on 8, which are relatively similar, then would one nullify the other? Or,
I would refer to your city attorney on that end.
Jerry, do you have an answer for that?
It does reference 2 different sections there on the ballot.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that it would cause any harm if it got passed, but I prefer to, just remove it if we can. Because the title is confusing to the body of the ballot.
But it doesn't conflict with the charter, though,
No.
because it's not a bad amendment. This was one of the amendments that we actually did discuss. So, if they voted yes, I don't see any harm in it changing the charter, because that was the intent to begin with.
But my thought,
How
this
would-
one
how-
is. I'm
Go
sorry.
go ahead.
9 is, the topic does not describe the write-up itself.
Right.
So that's the problem. So why could,
Well, and that's my point exactly. So you're approving a title, but we have no language for that title.
Exactly.
So how could you say what they're approving?
So-
exactly, I agree with you.
I feel like the best course of action would just be to simply remove it,
There
and
you
we can
go.
do it next time.
I agree with you on that.
Because we are having a presidential election next year,
Yeah.
so you're going to have huge voter turnout. That would probably be even better than this year. So
So what would that cost be for just to not count that? Or would there be a cost in there to not count that particular?
There shouldn't be a cost. We're going to notice it right in the polling location, in the polling booths, and so there shouldn't be an additional cost to that.
Okay, thank you. I think that's what we should
and there
do.
may be more charter changes that we want to do next year. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
and we don't have a city election next year, and this is relating directly to that. So there's really no downside to waiting, as far
Okay,
as I can see.
I agree.
Is anyone opposed to that?
No.
We'll need a motion for that. Jerry?
Yes, you will.
So we'll need a motion to,
Will it be to exclude ballot number 9 from the
Yes.
results?
Right, as being an
Okay.
error and confusing.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we exclude ballot number 9 because of its errors and confusion from,
Second.
from the vote. From
Okay.
the,
we have a motion and a second. Any further questions? Seeing none, we'll call the roll. Whenever you're ready.
Sorry about that. Okay. Councilmember Gray?
Yes,
Councilmember Spurlock?
Yes.
Councilmember Sutherland?
yes,
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Thank you. Item number 18, Church Service Center Agreement.
Okay, with that one, I think that's under Jerry, but I just want to say that that Yana was supposed to bring the keys Friday, and they did not. And Mr. Brokaw in the Church Service Center is wanting to pick them up, but I hesitated to call Yana today because I think that I don't know any of the people, and I know you all do, so I apologize, but I thought that the lease should be approved before they got the keys anyway, so I'm just kind of...
I agree with that, but they should be turning over the keys.
Well, yeah, they
because what
should be, yeah.
They absolutely agreed, came here and said what date that they needed it by, and they said, "Are you sure?" And that's, so, I mean, we should get those keys.
Yeah, now I'll
should be
call
over
them
with.
tomorrow.
Because we've done this now a couple times.
Okay.
Does that mean I still continue billing them until the keys are turned in?
Oh, Hardy. It's so small, it doesn't matter, but, technically, under Florida law, you could charge them twice for being a holdover tenant, but we won't go there.
$2.
Okay, so we have a lease before us. Do we have a motion on this lease, or?
I'd like to see some considerations that the council may opt for. We have the Boys and Girls Club that are in there from month to month, and this is a 5-year contract, and I did speak to Ronnie, and we did have this discussion in prior meetings that this would be a perfect location for city services to provide for the streets department, because their current location is in the middle of a residential area, and this is just more appropriate for that type of thing, keeping it in the industrial arena. We never discussed also the rehab of where the Church Service Center used to be, and there's still $280-something thousand sitting there waiting to do something with that particular building. So I feel more comfortable doing a month-to-month on this agreement, at the most 6 months, rather than a 5-year term, because it just seems that it gives no incentive for us to go rehab anything else, and then we're still gonna have an empty building that we cannot use just across the street from the railroad track. So that's the only thing that I'm concerned about. Other than that, they're wonderful tenants. They pay their water bill, their sewer bill, and all of that, and they do a great service to our community. So I don't know what their long-range plans are, but if it's 5 years out, it might as well be 10 years, and that's just way too long for at least me to feel comfortable with. So I'd rather see a shorter term on this lease.
and I agree with her, and also my concern is this lease agreement the same as our other lease agreements that we have with other businesses? No.
No. It's similar to the one that the Boys and Girls Club had, because they don't pay rent,
Well, it's more.
but they do pay electric.
I kind of have to bifurcate them into the sports complex type leases and the, museum lease. This is more like the museum lease than it is the sports complex ones.
But I'm talking about, what about my thought was the shuffleboard, because we have a lease agreement with them as well, right?
I don't know.
You do, but it hasn't been renewed in forever. I mean, it just keeps rolling over. I don't know what the term is on that.
I thought our deal was to get all our leases on precisely the same. No, I'm sorry.
I'm sure we have a pretty
Okay.
wide diversity of
Okay.
different types of
Yeah.
leases.
I'm totally open to any changes you want to make to this, because like I said, I go by this and just shoot from the hip. And
Well, you
so
know-
it's up to you to fill in the blanks.
They're not going to invest in a lot of rehab to the facility. They're just going to use it for disbursement of
Yeah.
of their stuff. So they don't have a lot of changes that they're going to have to walk away with and say, gosh, we spent a lot of money. We're not going to get anything out of it. So, I just think that 5 years is way too long. As much as the good service that they provide, I'd rather see a shorter term. I'd be happy with 1 year with a 3-month notification prior to that it, renews on either side, or otherwise it just rolls over on its own
Exactly.
for a term of 5 years.
Well, if you want to do an evergreen agreement, we can just make it 1 year, and that any person can give notice in 30 days.
Okay.
Yes.
I agree with
I
that.
agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that 100%.
Okay?
So do we have a motion to change the term from 5 years to 1 year?
Yes.
Yes.
And do we have to also make the change for the 30 days?
Is it
Yeah,
fair?
I'll
And
put
then
that
it's
in
gonna be
there.
$1
And this is really just a draft, so.
Okay.
um,
So,
Have they even reviewed this as to whether they can even comply with this agreement or not?
I don't know for sure. I don't think so, unless Susie had given it to him before she left, but I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, because I used a similar provision as we did for the sports people, and they had good insurance, so I don't know, if they have good insurance or anything like that, so I'll leave that up to you, but I will change that term provision to comply with what we just agreed to.
I mean, obviously, they're trying to get it done as quickly
Yeah.
as possible. So providing them with at least a shot at getting this completed very quickly would be better than nothing. So if anyone cares to make a motion for changing the term from 5 years to 1 year.
I make a motion that we approve the Church Service Center agreement with a term of 1 year.
Okay.
And with that renews, do I need to add renewing
Yeah.
evergreen?
That renewing and for
With 30-day notice.
consecutive 1-year provisions with the proviso that anybody can give notice for 30 days to terminate.
Okay,
Say so.
there you go.
So moved.
You get that, Kim?
Is that so moved, Maria?
Yes.
I'll
Okay.
second that.
So we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion?
Yes, once this is done with the 1 year, with the 30-day notice, it's okay to turn it over to them then at that point? We don't have to bring it back, correct?
If they can comply with that contract.
Yeah, they're
Right.
good with it, yeah.
Oh, they
Okay.
sign it. Yep.
Okay.
And we didn't give a lease term. That was left blank, by the way. So it's $0. It says the total rent for the full lease term shall be blank.
I believe it says $1, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
$1.
On page 1?
I put $0 in there because I don't know what you're going to pay, and I'm certainly not going to.
Yeah, so I mean,
I
it's,
just put $1.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I saw in the background $1, so. So we need to make a separate motion for that, or what?
did you see $1 someplace else?
Oh,
In
yeah.
the cover page, there's under
Yeah.
background, it says $1, but that was the previous agreement.
Okay. Well, then I'll just make the motion
Amendment.
to charge $1 rent. Can we do that per year rather than per month? Because everyone else pays $1 per year. I mean, you
I
have,
don't see a point in having to pay every month $1.
right, so
Right.
$1.
$12 is the same as 1 to me.
Right. So, I mean, do we
Unless
just,
you're going to lunch.
$1 a year is fine.
So can we amend the motion to be a 1-year lease with a 30-day notice to terminate with $1 per year?
Has it been voted on yet?
No.
I,
I mean, we don't have to, but it just would be
yeah,
easier.
I mean, that's fine. And if it's going to come back before them, we really don't need to do that at all.
Okay.
I thought you said it wasn't gonna come back.
But if you like, then you can make a
Well, maybe
motion
they
to
wanna pay more.
amend to provide a $1 a year rent.
I thought that's what you did.
Mhm.
Yeah.
$1
So
a
You
year.
did
Mhm.
already.
Oh, what you did
So
already.
Yes,
you're-
I did.
okay.
She moved, does anyone second that?
Yeah, I'll second it too.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Same two as the first motion.
So we have
So
to
is there-
vote on both of them or to one together?
On the amendment first. So is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Councilmember Gray?
Yes.
Councilmember Spurlock?
Yes.
Councilmember Sutherland?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Now for the original motion. Any further questions? Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Councilmember Gray?
Yes.
Councilmember Spurlock?
Yes.
Councilmember Sutherland?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous. Thank you.
Okay. Item number 19, Jerry, it's you again. Have the October 8th deposition.
This just to let you know that I attended the deposition as the city representative because we were in a quandary as to who our city manager was and how, and it was a little complicated for her to deal with. I've done depositions before, and I got the information, I did the deposition, and away we go.
Okay. Do you need anything from us on this?
No.
Okay, so we have a November 12th mediation.
Yes, that I'll need something from you on afterwards if we come to an agreement,
Okay.
because I'll open it, but you or not.
All right. Do
I
we have
think
any questions for Jerry?
November 12th is the holiday, I believe.
That's, is it? 11th is that a Monday?
I have 11th as the
Oh.
Veterans Day.
Yeah, the
Park's
11th is
birthday.
next.
Well, 12th, that's right, we switched our city council meeting to 13th.
That's right,
Right?
that's right.
Okay. All right. If there's nothing further, we'll move on. That concludes the first page of the agenda. So page number 2, item number 21, we have the FFY 2018 Small City CDBG Implementation Workshop, October 29th through 30th. This is Councilwoman Sutherland.
Okay, I went to this last year, and any of you guys can go. The deadline for application was last week, so I went ahead and reserved. This is 100% reimbursable to the city, so all it takes is time. It's a 2-day. It starts on Tuesday the 29th through Wednesday the 30th. I made the reservations for the 28th in the evening because you have to drive to Tallahassee. So 5-hour drive. Anyone wanting to go, I'm more than happy to relinquish this duty.
Nope, I just
So-
came back, it's all yours.
No one wants to go?
Not me.
Well, then I'm going to let Kim also ask city staff if any of them want to go. And if they don't go, if you can't let go of anybody, then I'll take the dubious honor.
Got it.
But I need to know ASAP because then the reservations have to change.
Do we need a motion from council or no?
No, it's just informative for you guys.
Okay. Very good.
Enjoy.
City manager's report, item number 22. Kim, that's you.
Okay. Under Brickell Building, I have an update with the Brickell Building and the Classic Caladium
Kim?
business. Sorry. Okay, Brickell Building update and Classic Caladium update. On October 2nd, Susie spoke with Matt Baker at length. He is the agent with Thompson Baker. This is on the Brickell Building. He did a walkthrough on July 9th with David, and July 10th, David sent Mr. Baker a list of repairs with amounts incurred. Susie presented the list to Matt on October 3rd. On October 7th, Matt requested copies of POs for Coronado Homes for roof replacement. He expressed that he and Mike Finkel, the third-party adjuster with Engel Martin and Associates, are ready to proceed to close this matter as soon as possible. That same day, Susie sent copies of the checks and invoices as no POs were issued under the emergency circumstances to Mr. Baker. And apparently, the biggest hurdle has been determining what damage pre-existed, which I guess has been the ongoing problem, and what damage was incurred due to Hurricane Irma. So we're still waiting to hear back on that, so there's been no movement on that, and I guess that's been what's been being waited for
The ball is in
Ever?
whose park now? Ours or theirs?
theirs. We're waiting to hear back from them.
So, go ahead.
No, you got it, go ahead.
No, I know what I want to say, but
Well, I think you just need to whip off a letter to them and give them 15 days to comply back one way or another on what they're going to do. Or you're going to turn it over to the Department of Insurance, and let them make the decision.
Was there a reason why they never turned this into FEMA?
were
Just
we
don't know.
declared a emergency?
Yes.
We were. Yeah.
Well, if you look at the list on the legislative people that have submitted for funds under FEMA to the legislature, 0 got funded in the entire state. Just go to the Florida legislature website and look
I know
at that.
I couldn't get it either. My
Right.
house was almost
So if you want to try, good
destroyed.
luck. No one's
Jerry,
stopping you.
do you have any
Yeah.
suggestions for us on how to rectify this and get it done? You said no. So Stanley's got the only way
no.
forward that I've heard.
I'm so,
You got the only, you got the only suggestion.
That's the way we
Tell
resolve
her, do
problems
it.
that I have, and
That's the way I've always done it.
yeah, and I've done it ever since. I've had
Is
it done
15
again.
days reasonable, or is, I mean, is that like
They've had,
a hammer,
that month.
or
Yeah,
what?
you better believe it. They'll answer it in that 15-day time frame.
So should it come from the city manager, or should it come from the city attorney?
like,
Does it matter?
Well,
city
I-
attorney would be more,
If you prefer it to come from me, I can do it.
I do.
You know, she could write it and say, you know, that if we don't hear an answer, we're going to turn it over to our representative and the Department of Insurance. So say it that way. Say it that way.
Okay.
Just write up what you'd like to see, and I'll dress it up, and I need
I
an
think
address,
Stanley should write
obviously.
it.
Yeah.
I agree.
You're
Well,
the insurance guy.
That would be a mess.
but seriously,
Okay.
Stanley, if you have any suggestions, by all means, send them to Kim.
Please, yeah.
Cause sound like we right where we've been the whole time.
And you know, while you're on the Brickell building, I attended the CRA advisory board meeting, and we talked about getting a, what's it called, a baseline valuation of the building, and someone said it would cost about $2,500 to do that. We can't sell it without that. It's part of our bid procurement policy that you have to have a actual value of the building. So why don't we just go ahead and do that too?
What evaluation did you say?
Well, a broker, what's the word for it? In order for us to list it, in order to sell it, you have
Market
to have a
analysis
basic.
or
Appraisal.
appraisal.
An
Yeah.
appraisal, that's
An
the word I'm
appraisal.
looking for. Yeah, we don't have an appraisal on it. And it's as is. We're not going to do any other changes to the building. Whatever money comes back isn't going to go back into the building.
And you think
So,
that appraisal is going to cost how much?
someone made the comment about $2,500. They had spoken
Okay.
to some broker. And so that falls below the procurement allowability for the city manager. I'm just saying, we're just sitting on it. We haven't been able to move it. We haven't advertised it, listed it, or anything, so,
Well, and since it's a commercial building, it probably is about right at about 2,500 for an appraisal.
yeah.
Jerry, do you have any comments on that?
Well, if you want a standard appraisal, that's about right. If you want an MAI, which is, sometimes you require.
Our procurement policy doesn't require that, though.
No, all right.
So just a
There is-
regular
There is a
appraisal?
process for appraisals that we need to follow under Chapter 119 if we want to keep the appraisal not a public record. But we have to follow the procedure that's in the Chapter 119. We can't just simply say it's not.
Okay, if I need to, then I'll get with you and we'll
That'd be fine.
discuss it. Okay, sounds good.
Now, it was one option. If they keep on delaying on the insurance, it could
Yeah.
be considered bad faith, and that's a pretty serious
Yeah.
claim against an insurance company. And, that they definitely don't want,
We can make that a public record.
Yeah, but the appraisal has nothing to do with waiting for the check.
No, it doesn't.
Okay. So do we need a motion to go forward?
It falls below her procurement. I mean, it just needs to be done. We could if you want, if you think it's part of the FS 119 at this point, Jerry, to do some type of policy. I don't know what the FS 119 says on that, on appraisal. Do we have to make a motion for her to go ahead and do that? Or can she just do it?
no, I think, that should be standard. Anytime you get an appraisal in your property, you don't want it to be a public record.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is, as part of this policy or this process under 119, do we have to give her a motion to do it, or can she just do it?
I'll look it up while you're looking at something.
Well, should I just make the motion and be done with it?
Sure.
Okay, I make a motion that the interim city manager seek an appraisal for the Brickell building
Under 119.
and work with Jerry in regards to Florida Statute 119.
Okay, do we have a
Second.
second? We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Councilmember Gray?
Yes,
Councilmember Spurlock?
Yes.
Councilmember Sutherland?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes,
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
I need clarification.
Yep.
The Brickell Building still Main Street property? Is it going to be an expense out of Main Street?
I thought we voted to send it back to
I
us.
thought we did too.
Yeah, but it's not done yet. So, Jerry,
I'm sorry, I was looking that up.
it's still a property of the CRA. Is the expense going to come from the CRA?
I thought it was the city.
Which expenses?
For the
They thought
Brickell
it was a
building.
city, but then I think
The
someone said it's a
appraisal.
CRA
Oh.
building.
Well, I think you're transferring it, I gave the clerk a memo today regarding the transfer. I mean, you can transfer it. I'm recommending that you follow the notice for transfer that's in the statute. There's some case law saying yes, and or alluding to the fact that it might be yes, but nothing definitive. So it's easier just to go ahead and do the notice requirement. That way, other people can come in and make offers, as to whether you're going to like to purchase it or to lease it or something like that.
But her question refers to where it gets paid out of. The cost
Yeah.
center, would it be the Main Street CRA or would it be a city cost?
Well, it depends on you. Right now, it's in the CRA. So how else how are you going to do it?
So
for the
we
city?
can't make a motion for the CRA because we're not wearing our CRA
Oh.
hat. But it is under the procurement policy regardless of that. So
Yeah.
they can still do it under the CRA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can? Okay.
Oh,
Thank you.
wow.
The
Back
CRA
and
follows
forth.
the procurement policy.
Yeah.
Very good. All right, 18 East Pine Street demo, low bid.
Well, there's an update on Classic Caladium too, but it's
Okay.
kind of similar. And Susie's checking her emails while she's out of state and waiting for some updates from Matt Baker and Mike Finkel and Sam Winkle. Okay. And, but anyway, so just to let you know, Robert's been working on that and with the contractor and stuff for Classic Caladium too, so we're just waiting to get a little more information on that one too. And on the demo, okay, we're there. I just wanted to get that out of the way.
Okay.
On the demo, they got 3 quotes. Code enforcement got 3 quotes. The one that you see in front of you is the lowest bid, and they're ready to go. So they're happy to go ahead and get started with that, and that is 18 East Pine Street.
Okay,
I need to ask a question.
go ahead.
It's not concerning 18 East Pine Street. Jared, this question is for you. David was working on a process to demo a property or address a property on Hal McRae. He said that it was in your hands. I think something about, last I understood, is the property owner would not allow access to the property. So code enforcement or the building department would go in and see the condition of the building. So I would like to know the status of that.
As I understood it, there was no way to contact the homeowner.
Well, whichever way it was, I don't
And,
remember.
I had one of the associates at Saxon Gilmore rendered an opinion on that issue, and she basically wrote a memo, which they had regarding the entry, the right of entry. So if you need to have that memo back, I think if the code enforcement person doesn't have that, I'd be happy to provide it again.
Okay, I'll find out from them if they have that one, and if not, I'll get with you.
And also, I would like for that to be placed on your to-do list, of your updates, so we
Okay.
can keep that in the burning, because this has been going on for about 3 years now.
Okay.
Okay.
Do we need to do anything with this low bid?
Yes, please approve it.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
It's below the procurement policy. She doesn't need one.
Oh, okay.
You do anything
As
with
as
what?
interim, I'm sure she would appreciate it if anyone's willing to make a motion.
Yeah, that would be
She
good.
doesn't need it.
I make a motion, we accept the low bid of $5,500 for a demo on 18 East Pine Street.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further questions? Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Councilmember Gray?
Yes,
Councilmember Spurlock?
Yes.
Councilmember Sutherland?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes,
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Thank you. Cabbage Palms? These are the ones around the
Oh, yeah, the
gazebo?
cabbage palms. Yeah, I know that council had asked David that when the cabbage palms get removed from around the gazebo, if they could try to save them. And speaking with Public Works, they said that it would be cost prohibitive, that it would be cheaper and easier just to buy cabbage palms and plant them where you want them than to try to keep these alive once they get them out of there. So I just wanted to kind of
Well,
put
if
that out
that's
there.
the case and we're going to destroy them, why not just call a local nursery guy that installed them, Edgewood Landscape, and tell him to come get his cabbage palms?
If you would.
Yeah, if they would.
If he wants them. I mean,
Yeah.
that way we don't have to do anything.
Yeah, I mean, I would certainly offer it to him. I mean,
Yeah.
for that matter, if he says no, then call Robbins or
Right.
whoever you can find. See if somebody's willing to do it for free.
Sounds good to me. I'll have Robert call somebody.
And as, you know, and they can go ahead and trim that blueberry that's there, make it look like a Christmas tree while they're at it.
All right. Item D, the FAA grant.
This is the completed grant that you approved. It's just showing that it's been executed.
Okay. Logic and accuracy testing.
Yes, that's just a reminder that the canvassing board will be meeting at 2 o'clock on the 22nd to test the equipment for the for voting, and we will be going to the location at 4500 Kenilworth Boulevard in Sebring first, and then we will be leaving there to go check the equipment at 580 South Commerce in room 201A, but it's all right there just so that everybody's reminded. And I will call the canvassing board members on Monday to remind you. It's next Tuesday, 2 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay?
We're not driving together, are we? Or how is that going to work?
No, that's not a good idea.
All right. Just checking.
All right. Generator.
I'm done.
Okay. The generator is scheduled to be installed Saturday, October 19th by Long's AC.
Yeah, how come I don't have that?
I'm here to help.
Thank you.
Oh, we got it.
Okay. Yeah, I don't.
All right. Nothing else on that?
I do want to say one thing. Brenda and I have met, Dane and I met with the health insurance company today, the agents, and with Aetna and stuff, and she had met with another company last week. Anyways, we will be bringing that information to council on the 28th, and we should also have the open enrollment dates set by then too. So we'll bring all that to you on the 28th, and we will have them here to either make the proposals to you, or I will make the proposals to you as to what, we were offered, but just, okay?
Are you bringing more than one offer or just one?
I'm not sure yet, probably two by the looks of it, and one is our current carrier right now, so, and the other one is different.
Okay.
But I think they're both pretty close in price, but they're just different providers.
Good.
Okay. That concludes the city manager's report.
Yep.
Public participation, item number 23. Is there any citizens with concerns? I see one. Anne Marie, name and address, please.
Anna Marie Feeney, 234 East Camphor Street.
Yes, ma'am.
I was just wondering if the grant applications were going to be discussed at this meeting.
The grant applications, that is a good point.
Yeah, I forgot.
Yep.
That is a
I've
good
seen
point.
him
Thought that
before.
we postponed for this meeting.
We wanted you to stay for the whole meeting.
Okay. So I don't see any other citizens here, so this is technically going to be item number 24. These are the grant applications that was brought up at the CRA. They were postponed until this meeting.
So we have about, I believe, $10,000 allocated in a line item in the budget that we approved for nonprofit
Donations.
donations. And because this is not a CRA allowed expense, I'll make a motion that we approve $2,000, one for each one of her events, out of this line item.
Wait a minute, $2,000, she only asking for one.
Well, there's two
1,000
events.
each.
There's two
They're
items.
1,000
1,000
each.
for
I'll
each
second
one.
that motion.
There's two events.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Brenda, care to ask a question?
Yes, I'm
Go
just
ahead.
trying to get a head on.
Here it is. You got that one? And this one?
You have You Served Us, Now We Serve You, which is going to be held at Union
Oh, I thought
Congregational.
that was one.
And then you also have the,
Armed Forces trees
Two separate.
and
Oh.
dedication ceremonies.
right. One's on, that's December 7th, and the first one is held on
November 11th,
November
And
Veterans
this
Day.
is for, what is this for?
Advertising. Advertising the events.
I saw one of them here. And we're gonna use, are you planning on using all three of the advertising people that you got stated here on
Yes.
those grants?
Annie, do you think there's a conflict at all with the current employer being on here?
I don't think so.
I just want to clarify that with Jerry, just to be on, make sure she's employed by one of the advertisers on this budget. And
Yeah,
so that's their,
took a
I know
job
that's
with
their
him about
going
2
rate.
weeks ago.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that there's no conflict with her and doing that and us approving any funding. She works for one of the advertisers. She has 4 separate expenses for 4 separate advertisers, and one of those is her employer. Now, the employer gets that. So I just want to make sure that's okay, that when anyone looking at this won't look at it funny.
Well, the only conflict of interest that I'm aware of is with the city council or committees of the city council. I'm not aware of any for outside people. People come in all the time for their self-interest.
Okay.
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 Okay, any further questions? We have a motion and a second.
I got one other question.
Go ahead.
When we, if this is approved, then are we opening up a can of worms here for other nonprofits to come and say, well?
Yes.
You already have the money for that. You've got 10,000.
Yeah, I understand
But you-
that. I just want
This
to
is
make
also
sure.
the same account that we pulled the 5,000 for the fireworks display. This is also the
Okay.
same account that we use to pay for the MLK event
MLK.
stuff.
Okay,
This 10,000 is partially reserved already, so
Yeah.
you want to be a little sparingly on it,
So we're going to have 3,000 left over in this account,
Right.
technically.
roughly.
Well, we're going to need 5,000 for fireworks, but we'll need more for the rest of the 4th of July event, whatever you guys do. And then we figured about 2,500 for MLK, 2,000 to 2,500 for that, so it's
Have they
pretty-
come and requested yet?
Not yet.
Their event's in January?
Mhm. So, but we just
So
wanted to make
we'll-
sure that
we'll
we
have to get
kept
with
money
them.
back for that, so.
We'll have to
Okay.
get with Mr. Davis to start his application
So-
process.
okay, so now this will be, so that would take up all of the $10,000 we got set aside, right?
Yes, or at least close,
Or
yes.
Yeah.
Pretty much
Yes.
close to it.
Yeah, so by opening a can of worms, yes, but we also need to realize that some of that is already reserved for other events that happen every year that we donate to.
So right now, we're about $9,500, 5,000 for the fireworks, 2,500 for other 4th of July stuff.
MLK, and, well, yeah.
Right? About
yeah.
2,000 for MLK, so that's $9,500.
So it's only $500 left. I was thinking about what's the school that usually come and ask us for funds? Is it the football or the basketball or cheerleaders or somebody?
Avon Park Youth Football usually asks for money.
I know somebody usually did, or somebody, and
How
I
much
just
do they
was
ask for?
thinking about that, but anyway, we're good, I'm good.
And also, real quick, I almost forgot to mention it, but since we're on the subject, the gentleman who has been Santa Claus in years past, I guess he's contacted the Chamber of Commerce and he's contacted somebody with the city, and he still wants to be the Santa Claus this year. So I was asked to let you know that.
Okay.
So
All right, so we have a motion and a second for $2,000 here. We're up to $9,500 committed out of a $10,000 budget. These types of things are no longer going to be covered by the CRA, was what it looks like to me. And we now have to make a decision as a council if this is something that we're going to want to do, probably in perpetuity.
And this is, when I first came on this council, that's where the funds really came from, was the city.
Well,
So-
legally, that's where they should come from,
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
fine with it.
as we've had preached to us for years, Jerry.
Am I that much?
We enjoy it. We enjoy it, I promise. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Councilmember Gray?
Yes,
Councilmember Spurlock?
Yes.
Councilmember Sutherland?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Annie.
I don't know why I put these two things as one.
Yeah.
Under citizens
They're closed.
participation, Barry?
I just want to make sure I'm correct, that the council has instructed the city manager to send the 15-day letter to Thompson Baker. Is that right, for the Brickell Building?
Yes.
That is correct. And if you could just turn up the volume on Mr. Bure's microphone, that would be just spectacular. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Jim, while you're down there, that's what you have to keep telling him. When I sat there, you
Well,
have to
now,
tell him to speak in the
legitimately,
mic.
we did want to order some longer microphones.
Yes.
His was actually stolen to go back somewhere else. I think it was
Yeah,
actually
that's
mine.
right, he's got a teeny one there.
So we need to get some longer ones for him and for a couple of people over there. So if you could order, 3 or 4 of them, that'd be
What
wonderful.
about some collar mics?
However
Then
you
you'll
work
be
it out.
hearing us breathe.
I'm just really afraid of calling my
Snort, you
speech. You
snore.
get there, and then you say some really, well, I would never say anything bad, right? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. That concludes our regularly scheduled agenda. Is there anything else for the good of the city?
I have one
See.
thing. I received an email from our Duke Energy lighting expert informing us that basically about 95% of all the city lights on Main Street have been changed. I think there's 6 left, and they will probably be finished this week. So you can drive up and down Main Street and see the difference in the new LED bright lights compared to the old city lights. And so I took since he was dealing with the previous city manager, I asked him to email me the areas that we could start doing the rest of the city, and that when I would receive those, then I will pass them on to the interim city manager, which he can deal with, and we could maybe bring it up in the next meeting, whether we want to make a motion to move forward with starting the process of replacing the other approximately 600 city lights within the entire city, the LEDs.
Okay.
One other notice, if you don't mind. The MCORS meeting regarding that missing link, a roadway from Naples up to the, past the Polk Parkway. That meeting that I sit on the committee for the next meeting's gonna be in Wednesday, October 30th at 9:30 a.m. to 5. Then there's gonna be another meeting that's an evening meeting, starting at 5:30 to 7:30 in Wauchula in November. I think it's the 2nd, or I'm sorry, it's the November 6th.
That's a Wednesday.
Pardon,
It's a day after election.
Yep.
that doesn't sound right. But if you want those dates, I can get them for you. I think it's actually earlier than that.
Okay. We'll get with you if anybody wants to go.
It's not downloaded to my calendar yet.
Okay.
But there's,
Yep. Anne Marie?
Real quick.
Anne Marie Feeney.
234 East Canford Street, Avon Park. I forgot to let y'all know the application process for Christmas on the Mall and the Christmas trees has begun. There are 3 ways that someone can get an application. They can get it on the 2nd floor upstairs at City Hall through me or at the Chamber of Commerce. Our first day, we already have over 20 trees signed up. So it looks like it's going to be a very, very happy Christmas here.
Awesome.
Merry Christmas.
I have to
And then
All
one
right.
last thing, we have a local business that's sponsoring a free community Thanksgiving feast from 11 a.m. till 5 on Thanksgiving Day at the community center.
Okay. Anything else for the good of the city? See nothing, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned.
Seeing no opposition, we are adjourned.
Did it again.
Donald